How about that?
Oh, let's start with that.
Yeah.
So what do you do? That's how you keep staff. Well, let's start with that. Judy Galindo, Sun Valley Research Center, Jaime Valles, Yuma Clinical Trials, and myself, Yuma Clinical Trials. So Judy is a site owner. She's been a site owner for 15 years, right? Wow, 15 years. So obviously you learned a lot in that time. You've been through the Great Recession. You've been through COVID. So you've gone through like the good, the boom, the bust, and now it looks like maybe a permanent boom market for at least next 2-3 years. And Jaime started recently, 2021.
Yeah.
Side
About a
owner.
year.
But you're already more experienced than like 90% of people watching this, because these are going to be people that are considering site ownership, and a lot of them are NPs.
Oh, cool.
So you're going to have a lot to offer in this interview as well. Hopefully the battery doesn't run out. It looks full. But let's start with that. You do a yearly vacation.
Yes. So
Can we come?
you can meet us there.
We'll meet you
So one
there.
of the benefits we kind of implemented probably several years ago is an annual retreat for all the staff. And this is a private clinic with a research center. And so we vote on it wherever they want to go. Usually it's been somewhere in Mexico.
Wherever.
Yeah, wherever. But usually Mexico has been the location because they have hotels that are all-inclusive, so it's more reasonable to travel there. So they get to pick the location. Then we plan it. We find the hotel. We book
We could go to Yuma at the Sheraton, the Four Seasons,
At the Q.
at the Q, play some poker.
So that's the benefit. You have to work with us for a certain amount of time, and then you qualify to go.
Okay, so what's the rule? Like how?
So you have to be working with us 6 months.
6
and
months.
then you've been here 6 months, and then you can qualify to go if you're interested, and then we give you the details and we start booking the stuff.
And you guys pay for it?
We pay for the hotel, so a portion of the
hotel,
hotel,
okay.
and then the rest the employee is responsible for. And it could be the employee and their significant other. It could be the family, whoever they want to bring along.
Wow, how long you been doing this?
Consistently, I would say the past 5 years, and then a few years prior to that, on and off.
So who runs the site when you come?
Well, we close it. We close both offices, so we'll usually
For like
do,
a week?
Yeah, no, we'll do Thursday to Sunday, so we'll close it
Okay.
for that Thursday, Friday, and then Fridays are already half days for us, so we're really closing for like a day and a half.
Back in business on Monday.
Yeah.
Hungover.
Just ensure you're at work the next
Have
day.
you ever flown hungover? It's a bad idea, very bad idea. I've done it, it's terrible. Okay.
So it boosts, the employee morale. It brings us
Yeah.
closer together because
Yeah.
we get to hang out outside of work. We get to know each other better. We get to meet each other's families for those who haven't met each other and interact differently outside of the office setting, which I
Maybe at
think,
the end we could go meet some.
Yeah.
Like just 30 seconds so people can see like, okay, how is Judy as a boss? We'll just put
if we
them on the
catch them,
spot.
they might be on lunch break. also,
Undercover
so.
boss.
So you learn by trial and error to be, because I've been doing site ownership basically the same time as you. I mean, I officially became a site owner in 2006, but 2005 I started working as a CRC when my dad was like the PI. Somehow he became the PI of like 4 doctors and 3 left. And then he's like, hey, you want to get a real job, or like you can do this? And I was like, oh, I'll do this. But like, so we've been doing it at the same time. I've gone through like a bunch of employees. My weakness has always been I'm too nice, and like
Lenient with the rules, or
have no rules.
Oh, okay.
Well, before. Now that I'm older, I'm better. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, we have rules. Like, we gotta wear the shirts,
Okay.
right? I don't have a time that they need to come in. Their salary.
Oh, okay.
So, but they know if I ask them to be like, hey, be at 9 or be at 7:30. Lately, we've been doing 7:30 a.m. screenings.
Gosh.
Like, just be there. They've been good.
Right.
But we have 2 like really good employees, so I can kind of get away. I've never been good at managing people, and in the past, when I was like really young, my first employee was IMG, and I was 25, and she was like 45, and there started to be a lot of resentment like, oh, this guy's telling me what to do, type of thing. And then she sabotaged and she tried to like do competing sites. So like it started like almost from like she was my second employee. Kind of tough. My first employee was my best friend from college. It was easy.
Right.
But when he saw things starting to get like structured, he bailed.
Okay.
He was like, nah, I don't want to do this.
Right.
It was fun. But he has the same like mentality as me. Like we're like loose.
More relaxed, yeah. I guess it depends the kind of setup you have, because we are connected to our PI's private clinic. So we're two separate entities, but we're still in the same building. So we kind of do have to follow a similar structure that they have in the clinic, which is pretty strict. They have their rules, the hours that they're open, the staff. So you do have to have some structure, but I don't micromanage. I don't like that, because as an employee.
Because I don't know what kind of manager.
No, as an employee, when I was an employee, I hated that part of it. And so I remember when I started the clinic that I wanted to be a different type of boss. I wanted to be pretty flexible, but yet we needed to get the work done. So you work these hours, but if you need to come in later because something's going on personal, that's fine, or leave early. I'm flexible. As long as you do the work, you see your patients, and you get your stuff done for the day, then I'm okay with it. And so over the years, I've actually reached out to my staff and have asked them, what do you guys want from our research clinic? So if you could have something implemented, whether it was certain benefits or certain things, and they actually would give me their feedback. And if it was something we could do, like having a half day on Fridays, or implementing a retirement account, or...
You have that?
We have that for our employees. Then I looked into it. I would talk to our PI, and pretty much, that was something like, should we do it, should we not? And as we started growing, then that was things we needed to consider, because how are you going to retain staff if you don't have these benefits you're offering?
Do you feel like that helps?
Yeah, it helps. I think the type of environment we have, that we do our work, we're serious, but we also have fun. Like everybody gets along with the private clinic. We all get along. Sometimes, people hang out after work, after hours on the weekends, and I think that helps people be happy at work. Like you want to be happy when you go to work. When you wake up, you have fun at work. Like you're excited to see people. But if you wake up and you don't want to go to work, you're not going to stay there very long, and people are going to go to the next place. They're only going to last there so long because they need a paycheck, but they're looking for that next opportunity. So what are you offering that's going to keep them long term there, especially if it's a good employee?
But you did, like, when was your first hire?
So we started like 15 years ago. It was probably like 14 years ago, a year.
Oh, so you did like a year and a half, just you.
Right, and we were still slow, so we didn't have anything. Trying to get the whole office set
Kind
up.
of sounds like me.
Licenses, all that stuff you need to get, and then I think we got like a small study, and then finally we got someone, and we actually took one of the employees from the private clinic, but I don't want to say we took, they kind of offered. She was interested in research, and so the doctors were like, hey, she's interested in research, do you want to have her work for you? And so I was like, okay. So that was like 14 years ago, and she's actually still with us. That's Rosie.
Really?
Yeah.
We get to meet her later?
Yeah. She might be on lunch, but if she's here, then I think you met her before already.
Okay.
Yeah, she's one of
but Guru Nation can see her.
Yeah, you'll get to meet her.
Sounds very similar to mine. I mean, when I took over existing studies, it was a little bit different. And then all the current coordinator bailed because they weren't getting paid. And the former administrator was like trying to do her own site. It was chaos, but I hired my friend. We worked together for like a year. And then we hired the IMG, who was really good at first, like super good. And I was like, yeah, just, I remember she came to me and said, how many, because she came from another clinic. I didn't know what I was doing. She said, how many patients, like, what are our projections? And I was like, what? What are you talking about? And she's like, yeah, we need to have goals of how many we want to see a week. And I was like, okay, let's see 3 a week. And she laughed. She was like, no, you need to see like 10 a week. And I was like, okay, well, you set it up. And then we started doing like some kind of incentive for her. But then I think she realized, like, why am I telling her what to do when she knows so much? Because she was doing this for like 10 years already. So then there was resentment, and then she brought a bunch of her friends in, and her friends were cool, they stayed. But I've probably gone through like 20 employees maybe, including the 2 we have now. Maybe like 25 by now, because it's been a long time.
Yeah, and I've gone through employees, so I've had people start, it didn't work out, they were here for a few years, or some that moved on and went back to school, and I think one got her PhD eventually, and so there's people that have rotated. I would say, I don't know, if I go back and count, maybe like 12 employees have been through that are no longer here.
Wow, yeah,
Over
I've
the
had
past
like,
15
probably like 20. One of them I remember, a really cool dude, Min Kong. He became a doctor.
Oh.
So we had another guy actually become a doctor, Anton Akulov. So we had a bunch of, and then a bunch of CRAs, and I still connect with most of them. But I've never been good at managing, and I've always needed to bring somebody else to manage. That's why we were talking about Desiree. I think she could be good. My wife is really good at that. She's really professional. I think Jaime is really good at that too. I know you never like really manage. Well, I don't know. Did you ever manage people before?
Well, I was a resource coordinator or supervisor of when I was a nurse.
Are you good manager?
For the unit. I think I'm like you.
I think women are better, man.
I try to kind of avoid
It's because you do
conflict
have to
and-
have some kind of discipline. I mean,
Yeah.
you can be lenient and flexible, but still.
You,
I don't have
discipline.
that
you can be their friend and their manager at the
Yes,
same time.
that's true.
That's what I was gonna bring up.
That's the issue.
Are you friends with?
Yeah, I mean, like, we do hang. I mean, I don't live here, so I don't get to hang out as much. But sometimes we'll get together once in a while if, like, say it's a kid's birthday or some celebration. But since I don't live here, it's harder for me to get together with them. But I know others do hang out after hours. But it is true. I think there's a line, but then at the same time, you still want to get to know your employees. You want to, not just the boss employee. You want to know about them, how they're doing, how their family, their kids. How are you going to have someone working for you 10, 15 years and you know nothing about them?
Yeah.
No, that's not good.
Yeah.
No, that never happened.
Like, you have to know them, but
But to a point, like,
to the point
right,
that
where you-
just set the boundaries kind
Right,
of thing, and
yeah, there's a line, I guess, that you just want to keep it separate so it doesn't become more difficult.
It's tough, though.
It's
when
tough.
when it comes to be a manager, right, and you
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
talk to them about something, and maybe it's not.
It's easier at 40 than at 25.
of course.
Yeah, no, I think
Okay.
25. I don't know if I was a site owner, I guess, back then, but I was just starting, so I didn't really
Yeah.
have all this experience I have now. So.
I had all these IMGs working for me, and they're like 10 years, at least 10 years older. But most of them were good, and I learned quick, like, how to do it, but I've always been better at building it, but not managing it. Like, when we get to that point, I have to bring someone in
Yeah,
to do it.
you have to have a good manager because that's what's going to keep the office running too.
Yeah.
Somebody
Yeah.
who's making sure
Yeah.
everything's working.
I think female, I just saying this for the first time, I think women might be better managers than
On the
men.
other hand, is once it's your business, like you're like the
You
side
have
owner,
more, like a different view of it.
you want to fix the problem and make it work.
Yeah.
Versus having paying somebody to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
They're getting the paycheck, but if it doesn't work, they're gonna still get the paycheck, if that makes any
Yeah.
sense, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, many times you can find the right fit that it's vested into the clinic, but sometimes you just have to kind of be careful, I think.
Well,
On who's gonna
And
take
so,
it.
yeah, technically, as a site owner, eventually you want to step away, right? You don't want to kind of be managing because then you hire people
Correct.
and you grow, and that's kind of where I'm at, like where I would like to.
You're
have,
here like 3 days a week,
Well,
right?
I'm here 2 days a
2
week
days
and
a
then remotely from home, and I do my coordinators and research. Everybody does what they need to do, but I still would like to have somebody maybe.
Do you have somebody?
No, I
Are you grooming someone?
No, not really. Well, not yet. I mean, I've kind of considered it, but not really officially. I think my thing is just letting the things go and delegating, because I'm so used to doing a lot of the admin, site owner stuff that, okay, who can I give this to, or who can I give this? Because I've been doing it so long.
Do you have multiple studies at once?
Yeah,
So you delegate studies per.
per coordinator.
Per
So
coordinator,
there's
okay.
2 coordinators. Each coordinator is in charge of like these studies. This one's in this one, and then the research assistants support them. So each research assistant will work with both of them, but done on specific studies, and then we have our recruiters.
Oh,
But
you have recruiters.
and then we
too.
have pre-screener recruiters, and so it's kind of working well, right? They're all working with each other, but there still should be someone overseeing that, making sure.
Do you
Because
do like incentives?
like bonus incentives, we do screening and enrollment, like randomization incentives
What do you add
That-
screening to?
at screening. Screening and
Everyone gets the same.
No. It varies.
How do you control, like, if they talk, hey, how much are you getting, or how much?
Because when all the employees have started with us, there's kind of like guidelines or rules of working here, and there is one of the things is you shouldn't be sharing your salary information. I mean, we could talk about it, but not that I know of. I mean, it hasn't come back to me.
It hasn't been an issue yet.
No. But we kind of, so actually what we do, let me go. So a coordinator will get the bonus, the research assistant working with those that randomized, and then the recruiter that did the pre-screen to get that patient. So they all get a bonus.
So you have to do, but the screening bonus is when they randomize.
No.
Or everybody that screens gets a bonus.
It's so much work to pre-screen and follow up,
Yeah,
and is that it's kind of like an extra incentive.
Mm-hmm.
It's an extra incentive to get to that point, and then hopefully, if they meet the criteria to get that next time point, which is randomization, which is another,
Who
lot of work.
approves like each step? Is it you, or they do it on their own?
For the
Like, let's say there's a patient, somebody just pre-screened them. Hey,
so
these
the
are the
pre-screener collects most of the information, assuming they kind of look like they meet criteria. Then they review it with the coordinator. They get the patient scheduled, and then do the screening visit. But obviously with a PI, sub-I, and going through all those details. But it starts with the pre-screener recruiter and still working with the coordinator before we get that patient scheduled. So it is a process.
We're like totally picking your brain.
But it
In
took
front
a
of
while.
YouTube.
It took a while.
Battery good.
When you have your, when you're doing it, you're doing all of it. But once you get to that point where you can delegate, because that was the issue we were having, is that my coordinators were spending too much time pre-screening, but then they couldn't schedule or do what they needed to do with the patients because they're focusing, trying to do both. And it's very time consuming. I mean, you could spend half an hour for one patient because they want to tell you a lot of information.
So let's say you get a patient that it's definitely not gonna screen. I mean, they're gonna screen fail. I'm assuming the screener knows. Have you run into the issue where the screener is like, well, I want to screen them anyway?
It's a light day,
because I want the bonus.
Because our protocols are very complicated that we don't that's why we pre-screen. We're not going to schedule someone that's not going to qualify. If based on what we collected on the pre-screen, they look like good candidates, then they're getting scheduled.
Yeah.
But we don't have screen failures because they didn't meet one of the basic criteria. Like there's no way, because we pre-screen them very well. We only have screen failures for like labs, EKG, or like
But I guess my question is on the bonus itself for the screening. Mm-hmm. If they get a patient that's not going to be, I mean, I'm just gonna say they're taking X medication and that's exclusionary.
So then they wouldn't even be screened.
They wouldn't even be screened, and there's no bonus for that.
No, because that information would have been collected in the
so basically,
but who controls that though? Like who checks?
Who checks? Oh well, the coordinators are doing a good job of that, and we're.
So he's saying like he doesn't hope the incentive to work against somebody just screening.
But it's not. So I guess it's not like written on paper. This is like our process for bonuses. It's just something I started doing to the staff.
So they're not abusing it.
No, they're not abusing it, right?
Because on our way back here, we
were talking about this on the way here.
Yeah, we were talking about bonuses, right?
Okay.
And in my thought process,
hi Desiree, Katie. This is not for you guys. Don't worry.
That's for a bonus.
It's not for you guys. Don't think about it.
No, in my head is because you get so little for screen fails,
right?
So in my head, nothing against nobody. For the record.
Hey, now it's Hyman the bad guy, not me.
It makes sense to give bonuses on randomization.
But if they don't make it if they didn't qualify at a screening visit and it's a reason that's beyond your control, not something you could have pre-screened for, then that has nothing to do with the work put into it to get to that screening visit. Like all that work that goes into it, the chart reviews, the contacting the patient, messaging, whatever it is.
So basically she's saying at some point there has to be a trust that they're not going to do it.
No, and I don't think I mean, you just have to select the right one.
Well, the two we have now done. Yeah. For those in the future, maybe you're one.
Test it out on a study, or like somebody's doing like you feel like one of your staff is doing extra great work, then
do you go? How often do you talk to someone like, hey, you're not doing like what I want you to do?
We have meetings we used to have weekly. So I'll bring it up if there are certain things that are.
So you do a team meeting?
Yeah, we used to. We haven't done it in a while, but we try to do weekly with the recruiters, the coordinators. and all the other stuff.
You with everybody, and then you also do one-on-ones as needed.
As needed, if there are like things that are not being done, bringing things to our attention, or like, hey, we should do this way.
I started doing this actually with Monica. She was like, from the new school, she was like one of my first employees from the new era, Dan, where I would every quarter meet one-on-one, like we'd go to lunch, and I would really just try to find out like, what do you want to do with your career? Like, but you know, when you ask them in the beginning, they just tell you what they think you want to hear. So like, I would just keep doing it to see like what they actually want, because this would be a way for me to potentially keep them longer, or maybe realize like if there's nothing I can do, this person's gonna be a CRA. Right. So just enjoy them while they're here, but prepare. At least gives me time.
Okay.
So I started doing that, and we're gonna start doing that with the new girls.
You know, I'm pretty open with my staff. Any issues they have, they bring it up to my attention. If they don't like something that's working, like I tell them actually, this is your guys' office. You are here 5 days a week. You know, this is like your second home. I'm not here every day. If something that I said we should do this way and it's not working for you guys, then we won't do it. But you guys need to let me know what is the best way to do this, or what do you think would work better. And so then they'll suggest. So I ask for their feedback. I ask for their opinion. I don't want to say let's do things this way. I'm not even here doing it. They're the ones doing it, and it's worse off. So and so that helps a lot. Them giving the feedback, or like maybe we should do this, or a lot of stuff that's set up in the office. They kind of like were the ones like, hey, we should put it here because this helps with this, or we have patients and let's put this, or we need this, you know, and this is why we need it. And so I'm like, okay, makes sense. So I'll get it for you guys.
Yeah.
And that helps because I think it feels like this is their place, right? This is where they work.
So you think the incentives keep them from saying, because I've had this before too, before I did incentives, wow, that's just too many patients for now. Like, we have enough patients, I'm not going to screen anymore. Because I've had that happen in the past too.
Well, I mean, because we've always worked on psych CNS, so we never had that issue because the criteria is so difficult. So we screen to get the patients, but we've never had too many patients in a study in a sense. And we have recruited, I mean, I think the most in a study we've had, like migraine, was like 30 patients. And so if they're there, they're willing to come in, they're willing to get scheduled, they'll see them. They'll schedule them. If it takes the 2 coordinators to see, they'll do it. Because we know there's going to get a point where it's going to be slower. And we're not going to have the patients, so might as well the ones that are interested, ready, let's get them done. And then, because, you know, research, you have these ups and downs where you're busy and you're not.
We're going to talk about that too, though. Because you've been through ups and downs, just like me.
Right.
Ups and downs.
So it's. I think it also depends on the condition. Like I said, our studies are a lot more complicated with the criteria, so it's not like we can throw a bunch and screen a bunch. I mean, I would love to.
Amazed. Some of these internal medicine, they sound easy, but they're not. They're not a lot easier. Psych is tough because like they're recorded scales.
Right, and you need qualified raters. So
but like they're all like IE criteria. I mean, it's tough. And even Dr. Harris looked at the new one, the atopic derm, and he's like, man, that one is
tough.
It's gonna be hard.
Yeah. They don't have haystack.
Exclusion.
So I guess that makes sense. You won't get pushed. Back in the day, like they were easier, remember?
Yeah, I feel like the criteria was more straightforward and like it was more realistic of your patient population, right? That had that condition. But now they have all these extra things and 4-hour post-dose or pre-dose and this and that. And it's like, really? Like you're asking this patient to be here for like 10 hours or 8 hours. And you know these people work. You know they have regular jobs. And then diaries, daily diaries, or like the one where that records you dosing because they want to.
They do that in psych now?
They're starting to do it in some studies.
They're tracking everything.
They're tracking, yeah. So and I understand the other side of it, the whole data collection and your insurance compliance.
Yeah.
But the other side of it, as a patient in the site, it's really a burden on these patients, right? So
this
more work for the site.
Really amazing. I'm amazed by the battery.
So, you know, every site we have the way we do things, whatever works for you. As you start growing, you start to see like what's best for your site, what works for your staff, how are you going to engage them, keep them long term, especially if there's someone from the community, they have their families there, their kids, they're probably not going to be moving away, you know,
I think that's
soon.
the benefit of a small market.
Yeah, as a small town.
Because in Orange County, they go like that.
Like they bounce around. Yeah, here, people are connected to the
I'm
community.
less worried about that here, but one of the things I'm worried about is like losing that initial enthusiasm. You know how like when they're new, they're like, first they go through a learning curve, like 3 months, and then they're all pumped. right? So and then, at least from my experiences in the past, the enthusiasm like just kind of slowly.
But what are you gonna do
dissipates.
to make it more? What was the word? I don't want to say fun, but because you keep throwing all these studies at them, and each
Yeah,
study has
study.
a bunch of assessments and a bunch of diaries and vendors and all these things they have to do. So, and they're keeping up with it and they're doing it. So, what are you gonna do where you make it where they want to come back to work? So, you take them to lunch. Do you buy them lunch once in a while? Do you bring them a coffee?
I bring them Starbucks.
Except, I mean, little things like that. Even like on their birthday, do you acknowledge their birthdays? Do you give them flowers? Do you give them like
Katie's
lunch?
close to mine.
So
July
the
14th.
thing is, like those little things make a difference. Like buying or giving them flowers,
See, that's why
decorating
women
the
are better at
office.
this, man.
Yeah.
But it's funny
More
because
confident.
those little things do make a difference, and if you did that,
So it's
then
little things.
It's the little things with a big thing, but the little things that make a difference because it shows you care. You care about that employee, but also about a special, like for example, the birthdays. You know, it's a special moment.
What do you do for birthday?
So we'll decorate their office with balloons
Serious?
and streamers.
Like
and
Olga does,
like
huh?
all,
We need to have Olga
like
do
wherever
this for
their station is at, wherever
We need
it
a
is.
girl to do them.
We need Dara to do this.
Yeah, we do that. Usually I'll get like flowers for them.
You?
Yeah, I'll
Dang.
get flowers for them. Mostly we've had females. Now we have a few males, so
You
maybe
put
not
flowers
flowers.
for them?
Probably not the males, but still decorate their office. And then if we can and we're not busy, maybe we do lunch. Like, oh,
Serious?
okay, all the research staff, let's go to lunch for this person's birthday.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's those little things that make sense. Because also, what if like that's the only time they get celebrated? I mean, I just think about it. You know, what boosting their morale that would be at work. Like, wow, they did this small little thing for me. Even just getting them a flower is like or a birthday card. We do birthday cards too, by the
So
way.
now, we're kind of in a similar situation, but different.
Okay.
Babe, I hope you're watching this.
Part
All
with the
you.
clinic.
Ask for all of that. Okay.
All you.
You're part with the clinic, right?
Yeah.
So when you do that for the staff in the research clinic,
And they do it for the clinic too. So it's funny
You don't
because
take them with you, or you do?
so okay.
Monica did this well at my other site, so I could hide behind her doing this stuff. All
So
this stuff.
it's funny because I've always kind of done it for research back in the day when we started having employees, and the clinic didn't really do it. And then over the years, they kind of jumped
Yeah,
on the
of
back
course,
and
yeah.
kind of do it for
Yeah.
everybody. So we have a birthday card send to all the staff, clinic, and research. They sign it. We used to do before COVID quarterly birthday lunches. So for that quarter, like January through February,
Yeah.
all the birthdays that fell, we'll go to lunch, both offices.
Olga does that at the office.
But-
the up to par. They do the month because they have so many employees. So like every month is
We used to do
somebody's
monthly, and then we spread it out to
Yeah.
quarterly because it was kind of a lot. But then COVID messed it up. But it's funny you mention it because one of the staff or a few had asked like, when are we going back to do the quarterly lunches?
So it's the little things then that
It's
keeps
little
them.
things.
You've noticed enthusiasm doesn't dissipate. Like,
No,
it stays-
no, because it's like you're interacting with them at work, so they're working, but then they kind of have fun. And then you
But I think
have these little
one of the
benefits.
most things is not feeling harassed at work.
Yeah.
We don't do that.
No, we don't do that.
No, that you trust that they're doing what they need to do, and
But if you guys
know-
are watching, I know some of you clients. I'm not gonna name you guys, but yeah, I don't know
No,
why people work
I've
for
met
you
people,
guys.
I've met people who
Oh,
are
yeah.
very micromanagers, and I did not like that because I didn't come from that type of setting, but I did come from a setting where it was still a little more stricter, and we had fun within the employees, but we didn't really interact much with the management, and that was like I thought I wish it was different. So when
It's
I
more
had
of
the
a
chance,
personal,
Yeah.
family, 2nd family kind of thing. But yeah, because whenever we work or I worked in a place that I felt harassed, it's like
harassed by
Well,
the,
like
the
you
management.
By the management, yeah, you just drag going there,
Yeah.
or you're like, you know what, the first opportunity I'll get out of
Well,
it.
that's the thing. Then they make you think like that, right? If you keep harassing or you micromanage, then that's they're gonna get burnt out. They're tired. They're like, okay, well, where's the next place I'm gonna go to?
I think I had a phase where I was micromanaging, like right after my super loose in the beginning. I had like a year, and it's not my natural trait, where I was doing that, and then I just stopped because I couldn't continue. It wasn't me. But I was like thinking, I was young, I was still like 27. I was trying to figure out, okay, well,
How are you
I
gonna
can't
do
have
it?
employees like start their own sites 6 months after I hire them. I had to do that. So then I'm like, maybe I just gotta get stricter. And then I went that route, but that wasn't the way to go either. So I think I found over time like
The
something
right
that works.
thing, yeah.
But I still have like fears, like, you know, how do you like that enthusiasm thing is probably one of
Yeah, I
them.
mean, what are you, I guess, what other than working in research and being exposed to it, what else is making their day fun? Or like what interactions are you guys having with it? Even the little things, taking them to lunch once in a while, or acknowledging their birthday, card and a flower.
Chili
That's something
pepper.
so
I
simple.
brought people a chili pepper yesterday. I brought the monitors.
Or
Okay.
coffee, just a coffee
Yeah,
once in
I
a
do
while.
that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't want a coffee?
So it's literally as
Yeah.
simple as that.
Simplest
All right.
things, but
Yeah.
I would say definitely the easiest thing, birthdays. Acknowledge birthdays or an accomplishment, like when someone graduates from a university. Like I've had one of my staff that graduated a community college in June, so we kind of celebrated them.
Do you
acknowledged
celebrate
them.
when you finish a study and then the study's done, you finish
No,
it?
we actually haven't
No?
done
Okay.
that. No.
Celebrate
No,
when you answer a query.
Celebrate when
good
it,
job.
celebrate when it's a closeout visit. No.
Okay. What? So let's go through. This battery is amazing. You've been through the ups and downs. Right now we're in a boom market. Like we're in such a good time in research. I've seen it where it's like 08. You know, the shoe fell. Like basically sponsors would come in. Lehman Brothers went bankrupt. It was on CNBC. I went to the office later that day. I got 2 emails from sponsors saying, stop enrolling any new patients and withdraw all existing patients. From like 2 study on the same day Lehman Brothers went.
Oh, wow.
I was like, this is getting serious. And I had monitors that later, and 2 weeks later, my former monitors asking me if they could work for me.
Whoa.
I was like, you're taking a step back. What's going on? And then I still expanded. I opened a new clinic like the
During
next
that
month.
time period, yeah.
Because I was stupid. I was like, oh, this, temporary thing.
Right.
Well, it's not temporary. It didn't recover until like 2012.
4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we've all had ups and
Years.
downs in this industry that we have those
How did you get through
periods.
that? Oh, wait.
I don't think we were really busy then. So we were already having like a slow period, so it didn't affect us that much. And then we kind of just rode it, I guess, and then got busier again. But we've had that, and I think more in psych CNS where we're
Psych
busy.
is volatile
And then,
as
I know. And so we're in a busy period right now, but we're also looking to expand because we don't want to.
Psych's volatile.
We want to have other opportunities
Yes.
and not have to do that up and down.
We just went to go reach out to a derm. Hopefully we can do something together, maybe ophthalmologist. But then staffing, labor shortage was tough. I actually had a lot of people from this area apply
Oh, really?
when I posted an ad. And one of them, you said don't reach out to her. There was somebody, remember?
Probably, maybe a few.
Yeah, you knew one of them. I was like, oh no. Judy said no, it's not going to be good. They're not even happy when Judy brings a birthday cake. Imagine when we don't. All right, so getting doctors in the community. What's been a challenge for you to get like a non-psych? Like,
I think, and this is something we've talked about on Aldinos in clinical research a lot, or with Monica and Ashley and Chris, is that most of the doctors here do not have research experience. They don't work in research. They never really did in training or outside of training. And so they either have a private practice or they're working at the private practice clinic, hospital. So they're kind of running around, they have multiple jobs that they don't really have interest, or they don't have the time, or because they don't know about it, they think they don't have time for it and they don't want to dedicate that time to it. There are a few we reach out to who are interested, but they're really busy. So then as a site owner, we have to think about, would it be realistic to work with them on a study? How available are they going to be for what we need them to do? Because we need, what you need a PI versus a somebody to do. And so not everybody that's a doctor down here would be the most ideal sub-I or PI, but there are some. So I think it's just getting the word out there more that we're looking for. We can do all these studies and we have the ability to do research here or in their clinic, and getting that next step and a few on board like that. It's just the word of mouth that would spread.
it's very difficult because then Jaime started doing this with me. Like we did this week where you have to have like a 20-second pitch to the gatekeeper.
Which is usually the office manager.
Yeah.
Usually.
Yeah.
Right.
And what happened at the neurologist, they said, no, he doesn't do this. And I was like, no. I can't remember
But she
what I
didn't
said.
probably even know what you were talking about, most likely.
I can't remember what I said, but I basically said it in a nice way, I'm not going to leave. because he doesn't know, this is not what you're thinking. I think that's what I said, right?
That's what you're worried.
This is not what you think it is.
Right.
So go reconsider, and then the office manager came, and the doctor actually he came and he said, "Well, come in," and spent 20 minutes with us
cool.
instead of like 5.
Nice.
Yeah.
So he was interested, and he said to start bringing him studies when he comes back from vacation.
Nice. And I've noticed once you get past that gatekeeper, like you said, a lot of doctors are very open to like,
He
hey,
gave
let
me
you
his
come
cell
into the
phone number that
office,
day.
come into the back.
Yeah,
kind of
and
thing.
I've been texting him already.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think the problem too is, at least in where we're from, nobody has done research. So
That's
far.
like here, yeah.
So when they hear research, it was like, is this a scam
Right.
or?
Or they might have negative feelings because they have
Yeah.
a colleague that did research and maybe it didn't work out, right?
Yeah.
And so they have this bad like taste, like, oh no, my friend did it, and
Yeah.
no.
What really helped us is our PI. Our PI, he's awesome. He's awesome. He's a very well-known provider and his clinic too. So.
He has a good reputation.
Yeah.
Oh, then there you go. Then
So whenever we go down here.
That's true. I name dropped him, but I
Right.
noticed you did that today
right,
too.
because I mean, if he's well known in your community, especially because we're a small community where we're at,
Yeah.
right? Everybody usually knows those main
No,
doctors,
I
especially
heard
if he's
you.
one of the only in that.
We should have taped it, but then it would have killed our chances. But I
Yeah.
noticed you name dropped him. I was like,
Because the
he's
same
done this
thing,
before.
our PI, Dr. Bernardo Inge, is the only doctor in private practice in Imperial County. So for the most part, a lot of people know him. He has a good reputation, even if they're not in like the
Yeah.
site, because they're really
You
nobody
could
in
leverage
They
that.
still know him because
Yeah.
somehow, somewhere, somebody has
Yeah.
come here before, or they referred a patient, or so they know of him.
One of the things, we could shift gears as we wrap up because I know you gotta go. But yeah, it's tough to get doctors, basically, guys. That's the hardest part.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is.
It is, but once you get those few, then I guess
Yeah.
it becomes easier. As
Yes,
time
when you
goes-
can start
yeah.
name dropping,
Right.
they love, and you're a clinician, you tell us if we're right or wrong. Clinicians love when their colleagues are doing something, because then they feel like they're missing out if they don't do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's
I've heard that
definitely
before.
one. That's definitely one.
They want to be part of it.
That's
Oh,
what I
you're doing
suspect.
this?
Or not only that, when they hear a clinician that is known and like legit, it's not like
Like, well known.
well known or that hasn't done
Not the guy
crooked
starts with
things
a
or
F.
whatever. Yeah.
F guy? F.
Yeah.
Dr. F.
So
He has
when
a
they,
YouTube channel.
when
It's
when they know that provider is doing something, then they're like, no, this is
They're more
legit.
trust, yeah.
So they're like not as hesitant or
They're more open to listening.
Yes,
Yeah, or like,
yes.
okay, maybe I could do this, or maybe I could
yeah.
collaborate.
And that was
So
the
they come
thing
through.
since yesterday, right? We talked to the office manager of orthopedic, and then
Oh, yeah, they were interested.
and then they show interest afterwards. So I'm like, wow. And then it also comes in the hand when Dan goes, it's like, oh, this is the book I wrote.
Yeah.
I'm here. This is my phone number, and then they see that it's been published and everything with Dan and Chris, of course. And then that even kind of cleans
Right.
the path a little
you
bit
have
more.
a book. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
You know what's helped, and I've done a little bit of this, but more my marketing people is taking the office staff coffee or like donuts or cookies.
Yeah.
Because then you're more willing to get the office manager who will give you some time, and then you get past like 80%.
Me and Chris did that
Yeah.
back in the
So
day.
if you run into like those harder offices,
It
then go back
works.
with coffee.
It works.
It does work. It does work.
We came
coffee goes a long way.
Coffee or a snack. Like
We
those
came with
cookies.
Costco cookies.
Yeah. For
to
the whole
this-
like front staff. They
Yeah,
love
to this
snacks.
neurologist in San Bernardino that our neurologist told us to go talk to. First time they were like, no. And then we brought cookies and they're like, we started with, this is for you guys. They already knew us. So this is for you guys. And are you sure there's no time for Dr. Fry sent us here? And then they're like, okay, he has 5 minutes.
Right. So
And then he
okay.
took 20 minutes. It was like the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5 minutes turns to 20. When the doctor is interested, they make time.
Yeah.
Okay. The last thing I want to talk. Oh yeah. Oh, one other thing. Judy's amazing. Check this out. She's like a legend. Chris we get studies for clients. We have 85 right now. Something like 85 paying us a monthly fee. Thank you guys. The ones, hopefully you guys that are treating your employees like crap are watching this too. No, we're tired of taking calls. We're tired of taking calls from these guys over that say, hey, you know, everybody quits. Like, there's something wrong with these people.
Appreciate your staff.
Yeah, when there's like 15 people leaving you, and you still think there's something wrong with them.
Right, no.
It's a problem. But anyways, okay, Judy. So we get studies for sites, right? We have like a team that gets study. And Judy, if the sponsor doesn't negotiate exactly what she wants on the contract or the budget, she tells them no. Like she just says nope.
Yeah.
We're not gonna.
Yeah,
and they're like months into the negotiation, and she doesn't care.
Yeah, I've declined studies
That's
because
gangster.
I didn't like the screen failure ratio rate, or I didn't like the screen failure reimbursement, or they
She's
wanted us
hardcore.
to. Yeah, they wanted so, and especially I do it even more if I have two of the same study conditions, so then I can decline one because we already have one, or we're going to work on another, so I have an option. So even more of a reason to decline, and I've had them a lot. Sometimes, and I think Chris experienced this. They'll come back and like try to save the negotiations and won't give us what we want. Sometimes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Sometimes, and then there's
Shout out to Chris. You're able to do that.
and then there's other times where they're like, all right, well, it didn't work, but
Wow.
then
But how involved are you with that? Like,
so like when Chris was helping us with it, he would come back to me and he's like, well, this is what they came back, and so
because Chris does ours, I tell him nothing.
no, I actually would give him like some feedback, like, hey, I don't like this.
Okay.
Can you go back and ask this? And so he'd provide feedback on what he thinks I should respond, and then sometimes I add a little bit more. And he's like, okay, are you sure you want me to send this? I'm like, yes, go ahead.
Man, Judy would be a good poker player.
Wow.
Do you
Yeah.
play?
No, I don't. No, but it's funny because I feel like we have the upper hand if you want us to work on the study.
Right
then
now
you
we
should give
have
us
the
right
upper
now,
hand.
and we've had.
But you don't do this in a down market.
Yeah, actually, I've done it. Well, I mean, I don't decline. It's not like I decline studies all the time. I've declined a few over the past several years. Maybe
No, but that's good.
like 3, maybe.
Yeah.
So it's not like something I do, but it's more if I don't like all the work we're gonna put to try to get these patients, and we're not gonna get reimbursed for screen failures, then I'm not gonna work on your study. Like, why are we gonna waste our money? Because we're gonna spend money.
Yeah, like that one
right?
term, we expired our screen failures in like a month.
Yeah, so then it's like we're doing free work then.
But that study's impossible.
It is,
I
but
mean,
then
a
they
lot of
should
them are
pay
like-
for 100% screen failures for that type of
They
study, right?
want, well, I mean, overall, a pretty advanced condition with no comorbidities, and it's almost impossible.
Yeah,
It's
that's
almost
not realistic.
and a bunch of like
And they only
exclusionary
do 5
mix.
screen fails.
So
No, and that's where I go back and like I try to get out of that cap. Like I try not to get the cap on screen failures, and for the most part, I've been successful. Or where we get percentage of the screen failure rate. If we don't do the whole screen failure, I'm good with that. But that we get paid for something. It doesn't have to be the full amount. Like I understand if we don't do everything, but something. And I don't cap me because I'm not the one who designed the protocol. You guys did. So then it's a difficult study. It's not my fault we can't find patients if you're excluding a majority of my patients in my community.
So how do you get studied?
So now a lot of it's repeat work with some of the sponsors.
Are you still a client of ours?
No,
Oh.
no. So I stopped being a client, I think, last year, earlier this year, maybe
We
last year.
sucked or what?
No, because there was a lot of leads I was getting and I couldn't keep up with it.
Oh,
We
you
were
think,
already
okay,
busy.
okay. Yeah, we
And
have a few
yeah,
like that.
Yeah,
where
so
like-
I was like, okay, I need to stop this because
Yeah,
I need to focus on everything else I'm trying to do, and I didn't really need the leads at that
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
And I actually have been. We used to work with a broker a long time ago who still sends me leads, and that actually. So I kind of get leads from various areas already.
Do you go on clinicaltrials.gov
No.
or you don't do that?
No, because I don't need to anymore because of like
Repeat
the relationship,
business.
repeat business, or other ways that we're getting leads. And even more now with diversity being a huge thing, we're starting to get contact just
Man.
because our office is here and we have Latino patients. So that's like
I'm glad you
another.
brought that up because diversity. You said it right. On the derm study, because the whole thing of like human clinical trials is to be diverse, and now we're starting to get a lot of Hispanics. But the first few that we tried to pre-screen, they were very skeptical.
Of the
And Jaime was like,
study.
well,
Okay.
when it's a Hispanic, They're very skeptical. So what were you saying? You said it better.
Because they don't understand it. Right? They don't understand it.
They think it's a scam or something.
Most of them would do, but again, it goes that we're in an office that it's well known. So just by the fact that they're coming through the office doors, it's some of the skepticism is kind of brushed away, but they're still a little fishy.
There was one dude like scared, but the Hispanic, at least the ones we've dealt with, they never tell you no. They're just like,
they'll listen and they'll
just defer.
See what's going. Yeah.
But then they'll never show up, and you're like,
See, but that's where it goes back to. We have to continue to educate the community, kind of throw out information about what is clinical research, which is what we're doing on social media. Like, what's a clinical trial? What is placebo? What does it mean when you consent? Like basic
so what do you do
stuff.
in the community?
So we have a social media campaign where we're throwing out these questions on social media, their posts. We haven't done videos in a while, but once in a while we'll do staff videos of common questions that we get asked when people call our office. So we answer those.
He's the guy that used to email people.
Yeah.
Do I have to reply?
I don't know. I think he sent you an email yesterday. I'm not sure.
He's supposedly
good. So he creates all our material, and then we have a newsletter that goes out to all the people in our database, and then to other community contacts we have, and then we try to attend community events if we can, like health fairs or anything.
Who goes? You?
No, I have some of my staff, either pre-screener recruiters, if coordinators, if they have time to go, a marketing person if I have them on staff.
So would you recommend us? We have 2 coordinators to hire a recruiter.
So I guess with what you have access to right now, you're not finding your patients, right? Do you need to start searching outside of that?
No.
No? So then you wouldn't really need a recruiter. But what I would recommend is, how are you going to start educating people about research in your community?
Your social media.
So what are you guys going to do to contribute to that? Because if you're not doing it,
you're
going to
content.
you're going to continue to encounter the barriers you have. And I feel like over the years we've
done this. How does go on the radio? Radio Ranchito.
Yeah, that's only going to target so many people who listen, The thing is, it's an investment in your community. If you guys are going to grow and be there for years and years, then you have to invest into educating the community. If not, you're going to continue to encounter what you're encountering 5 years from now. It's not going to change if you don't invest some education. And don't wait for the sponsor to do it, which we're trying to get to do. But you can get funds that, you tell them this is, and actually have a PowerPoint presentation, like this is what we do literally. Like I have pictures, I have like our stats, I have all our social medias.
We'll use your same guy.
So I created it, and then he went in and put the stats in, because he manages all our social media.
We should talk to that guy.
Yeah, he's actually.
Dora made a Facebook and an Instagram yesterday.
Yeah, you guys should talk to him.
Clinical trial. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Because there's some basic stuff he can help you with, and it's not too expensive, very inexpensive, but that you can continue to do.
And he's local?
He's local. He's from Imperial County.
Okay, so if he needs to, he can come down there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Well, didn't one of the studies even have like a budgeting for?
They have budgets, but like.
But you use that, and then you can, if you have this presentation that you say this is what we're doing, but it's an investment we're doing. It's not just a one-time thing for one study. Then they're more willing to give you more funds, or they're more willing to increase that amount.
Judy's biggest gripe is that the pharma is like basically, at least when it comes to.
Well, they should put more money into educating the community too.
But they don't know how to do that. They're incompetent.
And this is what we're trying to, show them or tell them, but they'd rather go other ways of doing it and not connect.
So you're on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
Do you see these like dumb?
Yes, I've seen that a lot. I'm on there, but I don't check all the time because some of these.
Some of them actually get me pissed off. It's usually not about diversity, but it's about like decentralized trial or how we're gonna bring the study to the patient's home.
But this is the thing, is that this conversation is even getting us further away from diversity, because that's not what patients want. Patients want to see people face to face. Latinos want to talk to you because we have these patients coming in. They'd rather come into the office instead of doing remote visits. We offer it to them, and they'd rather, because they've been locked up for so many months or years.
So get this.
They want the social interaction.
Just yesterday, I was on LinkedIn. This got me heated, and it sounded fishy as hell. Center Watch, all right. Where do you think they get all their funding from? Not some, all of their funding, right, from the industry. Mm-hmm. They published this article, surprisingly shows The majority of patients prefer remote visits.
No, well, they
And you're
must have
saying
just
the exact
focused.
opposite.
They must have focused in one community or
Yeah, like
few
Cambridge,
but definitely
Massachusetts.
not diverse communities because it's the opposite for diverse
But
communities.
it all depends too on the city itself. Like if you're talking about a huge city,
They're talking mostly about each
well,
city.
No,
where
and
the
it-
traffic is so bad
Boston.
that it'll take like
Possible,
3 hours.
right.
But yeah, what Judy said during COVID, like the big boom of COVID, where I worked at urgent care, we were one of the few places that we were seeing patients face to face, where we got our stethoscopes and listen to their lungs, get their oxygen. Almost everybody else was just doing telephone encounters, and we would get so many because they wanted to hear to me over the phone, and
Nice.
they didn't listen to me, they didn't see me,
Yeah,
and they would go specifically with us, even though they were just seen by their provider that they know them from
Is this
live.
a unique Hispanic thing?
No,
I
and
think
it's, the other
I
thing
don't
is
know.
because depending on the age of the patients too, they're not as technology savvy. They're not used
Yeah,
to
that's
using
true.
these like
Yeah,
computers and
nobody is.
laptops and phones.
Even I'm not.
Well, I
We
know.
try to
I
do
mean,
those
it takes
skills.
forever. Sometimes
Yeah.
I have issues with Zoom and Teams.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but even then, I would get young parents that would bring their kids with the exact same say, like, yeah, I want to see him over the phone because he has a fever or whatever or a cough, but they didn't listen to him. So I'm talking about 20-year-old parents bringing their babies. So yeah,
It just depends, and then also, I've heard it from our providers. They are okay, and they still do visits, but they do more in person. That they're okay with adult patients, certain conditions, but there's others they need to see in person. But with children and adolescents, they cannot do tele. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
So what is
It
this?
doesn't work.
What is this? Okay, we can get controversial because wow, this was supposed to be 20 minutes. This is a great episode though. So these same people who piss you off, and me too, about diversity, they're just talking out of their ass.
They've never
basically.
been probably to a rural community. They've never actually worked at a site in a rural. They never.
Right, but
interacted
when
with
they
their
argue
patients.
for a decentralized trial, they argue they specifically use rural community benefits from
rural
this.
community? Like, where's the data?
That's
Where
what
did
they
you
say.
Do, where
That's
did,
what they
where
say.
did you do this?
I'm gonna
study?
tag you on this.
Yeah, where did
And
they,
then we're
who did they interview that was from a rural community? How did that contribute to that data? Because they probably didn't.
Yeah, these are like
they probably
Harvard
didn't,
people.
like he said, maybe these major cities where traffic is horrible, so they'd rather connect remotely and they're used to it. And yeah, that
Oh yeah,
works.
Center Watch. They use Boston as an example.
It will make sense, but at least for the communities where I have experience on, which is small.
Same.
I mean, Yuma and El Centro,
yeah,
Pure Valley, you
right.
get to point A to point B in 15 minutes.
Yeah, there's no traffic.
So.
Well, I can tell in
But-
LA, they still prefer inpatient visits too.
Yeah.
So it's not just the small.
But there are aspects of those trials that are useful, right? There are aspects because throughout a protocol, it's nice to break up the visits and have some telephone calls. They
Yeah.
don't have to
Yeah.
come in all the time
Yeah.
for like 1 or 2
Yeah,
hours.
Follow up visits
Follow
and
up,
whatnot.
or
Even
there's
though we
something you
get
could-
paid less, but
yeah,
it's okay.
It's okay because it's less of a burden
Yeah,
for the participant and patient, and it's easier to manage. Or like, is there other parts of the study you can do that make it easier for everybody, the participant and the site? Yeah, there's aspects of it, but not 100%.
Oh yeah, hybrid.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody
Right.
did this.
So a combo. So I see a combo, yes.
But why are they pushing for this so much?
Well, I don't know who's pushing for it because I have yet to
Industry.
be contacted about a decentralized trial yet. And so are you getting these studies? Who's getting these studies?
I had a call the other day from a lady from a small pharma. They work on I don't want to say what it is, but we didn't sign the CDA. But they're very small, and they have a decentralized study. They don't even have a site. It's just their PI, and they want patients. Surprisingly, they ran out of patients. So they called us. They're like, "Do you recruit?" We're like, "No. Here's your problem. You can get rid of sites."
Right. Yeah.
And
But the
she's-
thing is, the way they're managing it is they have their PIs or sub-Is here, they have their staff. They're still having to connect with you guys at the site to run these studies that are decent, or like most aspects of it. So they're still using your site. So
They're
not
doing
really-
it just because they think it's more like.
more cost-effective, maybe,
Cost-effective.
but
It's not the reason.
then you're only capturing so much information on certain patients and you're not capturing it. So, but then we're moving away from the diversity. That's the problem, is that people want to connect with people. They want to hear from you about what research is. They want to know what it is. What are you talking about? You want me to sign this consent? They don't want to talk to some person located in who knows where on this video about something so complicated when they want to maybe see in person
Well,
first.
the good thing for us small sites is at the end of the day, regardless of what the industry tries to push, it boils down to what the patients actually want. And they could make up 1,000 studies showing the opposite of what you're saying, but if that's not the outcomes they're getting,
That's not what we
they're
have
gonna
here.
keep using sites.
And
to
you're
do
not going to
this.
get diverse patients on top of it.
All right, let's go see your staff. Yeah.
We gotta pry that.
Before we run out of battery. Are they cool with it?
I think so. Let me
Just walking around with the camera?
let me make sure we don't have, I don't have patients right now. Oh, let me double check.
Hi, Mavias. What do you think, man?
Not good day, productive.
We picked our brain like
Yeah.
pretty hardcore, man. Like we love this podcast to provide Guru Nation Valley, but this was for us to get value.
Yeah. we got a lot of good ideas.
All right, let's see if Judy. Let's see if they, because this battery's gonna run out. This is her office. We've done the tour. This looks familiar. Look at all this. Gonna run out of battery. This camera's amazing, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, take home message is
Yeah.
we're on the right track, right? But
Yeah.
here we go.
Yes, you can
We're
come
good?
through. Yes. This is Michelle, one of our study
Right.
phlebotomists.
How's Judy as a boss?
Excellent.
Oh, you're asking her in front of me. That's kind of unfair.
Yeah, Judy,
All right. This is Maria. Sorry, it's a mess. She's kind of cleaning some stuff, but she is the intern I was
Hey,
telling
great
you about.
book.
She was
Oh
an
my
intern
God.
and now she's our research assistant.
How's that book?
Very interesting.
How's Judy as a boss?
She's great.
Do you like research?
Yes, I do. Judy's very nice and knowledgeable.
Wow. Here you go.
And this is Rosie, our other
Hey,
friend,
Rosie.
the longest one we've had. This
Yeah,
is
I
Rosie.
think I had you on the video before.
Yeah.
too.
We were
I think
talking
you already
about
asked me that question
I
too.
did ask you that.
I recycle jokes. What do
There you
got?
go.
We were actually talking about like how we started back then and used to work for the clinic and then you came over to work for us.
Yeah.
We didn't steal you.
They still say that.
I know they still say we stole her, but
Been
they
so
offered
long.
her.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Judy.
Bye. You could always interview them without me another day.